platform, and you know, I've gotten a lot of good feedback off of that one. I know the one before that, a lot of pre-tribbers took offense, and I wasn't writing it to pre-tribbers. So I was talking about escapism. I was gearing that mostly towards those who are going into these esoteric theologies of evolving themselves right off the planet.
That is so popular today.
Yeah, and that's what that was what that was in regards to. I really don't care what people's rapture doctrines are. I mean, that's dogma. I don't get wrapped up in dogmas.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't, I don't get wrapped up in something like that. Something like that just is not, I don't focus a day on it. Pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib. I mean, we're going to be going through a lot of stuff, so let's just focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
If we're whisked off the earth, fine. But let's just focus on what we're supposed to do, so we don't have to be held accountable for not doing the things we were supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so I didn't mean to offend anybody pre-tribers with that one blogger about escapism. It wasn't even referring to escapists or, pre-trib raptures. I guess if you want to consider yourself escapist, I mean, I wasn't saying you were. But, yeah, it's been an eventful week, but it's also been very quiet.
It's sort of like the lull before the storm.
It must be. It's just been very quiet. I've been very busy. A lot of people with orgone that I'm just ready to pull my hair out of my head, turning everything over to my assistant, Rhonda Zioli. She's going to start handling the orgone network. I can't do it any longer. I'm just too busy. International orders are getting sabotaged. They're not getting to where they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
We're just running into all kinds of problems getting this shipped. We've got orders sitting in bulk warehouses where they were opened and so sent to bulk warehouses, and you name it, it's gone wrong. You name it, there's a problem, there's a hassle. A lot of things I'm going to be stepping out of, so I can just focus more of my time on writing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I really want to do now, is just write. Because when he gives me an idea and a thought and knowledge on something, I just want to run with it. And he's given me something lately that I just can't wait to get on the computer and run with.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I want to be focused on doing.
I've seen on the web, too, that there's been almost continuous seismic activity after the tsunami.
Yeah.
And continuing through today, do you think we're going to have more problems in that part of the world, or?
We're going to have problems. Well, it's both the plates. You follow the plate lines.
Mm-hmm.
The Atlantic is really going to get a push and a tug. Well, not the Atlantic. Our side, East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Because they always said, and I don't know if this is true, I don't even know if this is a Nostradamus thing or who or what thing it is, but that Atlantis would rise in the middle of the Atlantic when the Antichrist arrived. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. And that whole plate underneath there, I heard there was pictures on the net about a submarine that hit a mountain underneath the water.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, this is 2005. When has our Navy accidentally just ran into a mountain underneath the water?
It seems like an almost impossible accident.
So it must have been something that, the ocean floor is rising unexpectedly. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, get some new pilots in the submarines, or whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of unexpected things happening. And with a tug on the ocean floors because of what's going on in our solar system, we've got the dark star. We've got Nibiru. I'm not sure if those two are the same thing or not yet. I'm not saying they are. I'm just, I'll just say it's Dark Star and Nibiru. And we've got other things, coming in the solar system. And so all of this is pulling on the Earth's magnetic field. We're going to see a lot of plate movement. We're going to see a lot of more tsunamis, possibly, even more volcanoes going off. I know Italy's volcano was going off, and the sign of Italy's volcano going off, the next disaster after that being Japan would go in the ocean that I've been warning about.
Mm-hmm.
And so people need to watch for that. If this volcano does go off in Italy, you need to get off Japan. And I know they're hearing me because I'm seeing increased traffic from Japan on my websites.
The Japanese are very smart and insightful people, and I think they would take the warning very seriously.
Yeah, I don't know why I've just been so, on Japan lately, but that's just, it's been on my heart, and so I'm just keep warning the people of Japan to get off until, whatever. It wouldn't be a bad idea anyway, knowing that we're in the last days, and, you don't want to be on one of these islands in the last days.
No. Interestingly enough, Japan shows up quite a bit in the skip codes, typically under its own name, Nippon, Noon-Pei Noon, and it shows up a lot, and it's always been a great mystery to a lot of researchers into the codes. They say, why would Japan show up so much?
Yeah, well, you know who else? Well, yeah, because it's going to go under. It's a dominant event.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought of it that way either.
Mm-mm.
But like you said, a lot of things are going to happen we don't expect. And it's not that he couldn't pull out his word at any time and show us it was right there. It's just we can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we get blinded, and we just can't see things. And so it's like, you know, teach me the truth, remove the blinders, let me see things. You know, and because, you know, we're always wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We can't go to the Lord and say, well, this didn't say this, as he always proves us wrong. We're not going to win. We're ignorant. And so the only thing we can ask him is remove the blinders, let me see what's going on, and to not get stuck in any one kind of theology or dogma.
Mm-hmm.
Stay open. I mean, the only thing we need is him. You know, that's all we need. That's all he has always told me, is lead my people back to me. And so that's what I do. I don't lead them to churches. I don't lead them to pastors. I don't lead, lead them to him. And then he says, seek me for the truth in all things. And so that's what people need to do, is start praying and asking him to teach them the truth. And then you know, when you get in the wilderness with him, you learn how he works, different ways he works, and that's why the people you're dealing with can't recognize how he's working because they've never been in the wilderness with him. You know, he works through people. He works through websites. He works through books. He works through people's radio shows or newspapers or magazines, the ways he leads you to information. Because I'll get that a lot. You know, people say, well, the Lord led me to your side and he'll write me an article when I argue about something. So, well, I don't want to hear it. Mm-hmm. Just study. Mm-hmm. Ask him. You know, that's their first thing. When something comes up against something that they believe and they want to hold on to, they come out fighting. They want a cat fight. And I just refuse to fight with people. I'm not going to give them a fight.
Well, you're telling them the truth, and most people, regardless of their viewpoint or religious background or lack of religious background, know that something very wrong is happening in the world. The economic situation, the changes in the earth, and the possibility of a great war coming up. And I think because of this consciousness, a lot of people are looking to the wrong sources. They're the higher vibration. Some are Marian apparitions.
You know what? That was Harp's greatest toy. Their biggest practice on holographics. Mm-hmm. And look how many it deceived. Oh. Even to this day, billions of people will flock to an apparition on a garage.
Yes.
And it's a holographic. You know, Mary's not coming down here visiting us on garages or in trees or in grottos. You know, and so that just shows you how many people are going to get deceived in the last days, because even the arrival of the Antichrist is a big holographic display. And if they're believing Mary's showing up, can you believe them when they see him coming through the clouds?
Oh, many people will believe it.
Yeah, they will. And they say, oh, I won't be deceived.
Or if they see UFOs and they're told, this is the way out, we're taking you to safety before the cataclysm, they'll believe that too.
Well, you know what? I've heard that's going on.
Yes.
Have you heard that?
I've heard some people have disappeared already. Yeah,
people are leaving Earth in spaceships because of some coming disaster. And all I keep thinking is people need to go read my article, To Serve Men. Mm-hmm.
I truly think in terms of public relations and the public's readiness for things, if a UFO were to land in Washington, no one would think anything of it. They'd accept it and be quite interested.
And it's going to be. It's going to be landing soon. We're going to go on break here, and we'll be back in about 60 seconds, folks.
Do you know where the 78 potentially active volcanoes in the U.S. are located? And do you know the locations of the top 300 prime terrorist targets? You can find these answers in the new interactive CD book, Prudent Places USA. With the more than 50 interactive parameters, you can pinpoint natural and man-made disaster areas, brewing environmental catastrophes, the safest cities, the best places for solar and wind energy, and much, much more. Complete with 3 gigabytes of detailed information on each of 3,000 plus counties in the U.S., including 550 high-resolution full-color maps and full-color photographs, as well as detailed information and analysis to help you zero in on the best places to live, the ideal location for cabins and vacation homes, as well as safe and unsafe areas. Get Prudent Places USA for only $29.